Hi guys, welcome back to Kpop Talks. I'm your host. Today we're doing our monthly Kpop recap of April 2024. Going to the month, I felt there was much less music. Even when I went back and looked at the playlist and all the stuff that I saved throughout the month, there's like 40-ish songs compared to like the 70 I reviewed for March. I mean, it's definitely way less. I felt this month was much better in quality. There was much more stuff that I've enjoyed listening to. Definitely more, I think, interesting comebacks, even some unexpected comebacks as far as I'm concerned. So I think overall the enjoyment for me was there. And yeah, I think definitely it's one of the months, probably the best month we've had since the start of the year. Hopefully it's a good sign for things to pick up going into summer, which I would say in recent history at least has never been a great moment for K-pop, but maybe this year is a different year and we'll see something different. First we have I.M with Lure. I've been a fan of I.M personally when he does his solo stuff. I think he brings a lot of an interesting aspect to his artistry. He definitely tries more melodic stuff, singing. I find maybe the production not to be my personal cup of tea on here, but I think the chorus really works. I think the high notes that he tries to hit works. It's just that he's not a very good singer technically, so he has to, I think, cover a lot of that inability or those holes from a technical standpoint with performances and what he does around the songs well, and I think he does that very good. I wish though he would rap more. That's still his best skill, so the fact that when he does his solo stuff he doesn't particularly touch that, I don't think it's worrying per se, but I would love him to do it more. I think his music would get much better, and he's a really good artist, so there is a good song. It's not my favorite I.M release from his solo catalog, but it's a good release nonetheless. Next we have Apex with Youth to Youth. I personally like this song from Apex personally. It's not their best stuff, but it's good, it's groovy. I thought the vocals were solid. Even the hip hop parts, which I think Apex has always struggled to really mesh, they do a decent job here, I think. The vocals are there, the chorus is enjoyable, it's very groovy, it's not overly aggressive. I think Apex is in generally a group that is very good with this style of music, so I think them doing this style of music and doing it as good as they are right now, at least as consistently good as they are, it's a good thing. You know, they had a period of time where they were a little bit lost aesthetically and they were trying to do so many different things, in my opinion not really doing it at their best, but seeing it now, I think going back to what works for them, and I think in that phase of K-pop you can do a lot of different things if you're good. So I think hopefully there's good things to come from this year from them, and obviously the chorus works, the pre-chorus is very good as well, I think, and I think they're at this point, I mean they've been on for a good amount of time, I think 3 or 4 years. They're a solid group, you know, they're a group that you can expect always solid music from them and quality music nonetheless, which is the most important aspect. Next we have Baby Monster with Sheesh. This is my least favorite song from Baby Monster. It's actually the only song I don't like they released. I think them trying to go the Blackpink route, as I've said, it's not good because it's not their identity, it's not who they are. So the fact that they're trying to do the kind of like you know, Kill This Love or Pink Venom style of song, I mean it's still really fine, I think it's okay, but you know, this comes from a company that has done dozens of songs like this in the last couple of years. I mean, this last part, or in the latter stages of the existence of this company. So the chorus is pretty, I think, mediocre. I think it's very, I think, not even fun to listen to. It's not catchy. So I think if Baby Monster sticks to them doing the more R&B style of music with heavy, great vocals and stuff like that, we'll see a great Baby Monster. But if YG and unfortunately Teddy wants to keep pushing this notion that they have to be like a Blackpink, I think we'll see a much worse version of them as a group, which will be very unfortunate considering that this is their rookie year. So I would love if they actually kept it going good and not fuck it up for I think the short run, which is always the worry objectively in this type of companies. Next we have Lucas with Renegade. I've seen a lot of people criticize this song. Now I don't know if it's because of past allegations from Lucas that is blinding the opinion of people. The chorus is really hits hard. It's one of the best choruses I've heard from a solo NCT artist in a long time. His vocals are good. They're not amazing, but they're good. He sounds good, and it was smart by them to make him rap. He's not a great a singer, so he's not a good singer. So having them rap actually is the way to go, because realistically, regardless of what I think or what you think, if you actually use that strength of his, which is the rapping and the flows, he's gonna always do a good job, and he does on this track. Objectively, he does an amazing job. And maybe too much time the choruses. I think the chorus is like 7 times on a song like this. I would have definitely cut it down a little bit, but like at least a couple of times. But honestly, I think it's an enjoyable track from Lucas. People said the rapping is cringe. I don't agree. I think the flow is a little bit weird, which makes it a little bit less less enjoyable to enjoy. But I think the song is good, and I like the fact that they're actually addressing the allegations all through the music, right? SM is doing something you normally don't see in K-pop, which is him at least actively addressing what happened and stuff like that. And even the fact that he turns into a rat in the music video, it's very fun. So respect by them by doing so. SM would have dropped him if this was the old SM with at least one. In fact, this one put him on a shelf for a little bit. If this was like 2013 SM, he would have been dropped. So good for SM to change that and address it when something like this happens. You do your investigation and then you decide to go somewhere. I think it's much better than whatever people were claiming that they should have done with him, for example. So good job by them and good job by Lucas, who I think drops objectively a banger, even though it's not a perfect song. Next we have Dripping with Beautiful Maze. I don't like this song particularly, personally. I thought it was very weird. They decided to go with this type of production, this type of style for Dripping. It just doesn't really fit them, I think. I think it's just a mismatch in terms of what I think Dripping can do and the concept that they end up doing. At the end of the day, it's good that they're varying, because they're not a super successful group, so them having a duality is always good. But I think these type of songs are very easy to just be considered generic and people forget about them. So it's a dangerous game you can play, I think, if you are in this case. Their company, which I think it's William, right? So I like Dripping, but yeah, I've never been a huge fan. I like them, but this song I just think it's a miss. Next, we have Case of Life with Midas Touch. No, this might be unpopular, but I think this is probably their worst release. It's too much, I think, copying a style of 2000s music from like the Britney Spears era and everything, which is fine in context of being inspired to do a concept. But you're biting melodies, you're biting vocals, you're biting even probably lyrics, I would say. So I don't particularly like that for that reason, and it seems a little bit more less risk averse compared to what they were doing early on, which makes them more hip-hop, which makes a lot of other things. And since they're a girl group, they have to go towards more of a classic girl group feel from 4th generation groups. I don't like that. The pre-chorus is not particularly good. It's very generic, and the production doesn't help that, because like I said, when you end up doing something that comes from an older time in terms of music, it sounds outdated if you're not able to make it sound new and fresh with certain aspects of their music. It doesn't work. I think a great example of it would be SZA and Doja Cat when they made that's their Cause It Kiss Me More. That bites a lot of old school pop music, but when you then renew it and do it in a more modern way, it sounds fantastic. This is, I think, a missed opportunity for Kiss of Life to do something a little bit more interesting. That's the way I see it. Next we have Tempest with Bang. Good song, I think, by Tempest. It's hard. There's a lot of X references. I think they shot in the same place X shot Overdose. But yeah, I mean, the song is good. I think definitely the second part of the song is much better than the first part, I think. And definitely the rapping sections are really good in here. They're the parts that carry the song, in my opinion, vocally. And the chorus is actually it's hard. It's a banger going through and through. The vocals are just too generic, using the guy to have the guy with the voice to just be a bridge and to be a pre-chorus. I think it's just too simple. You can do something more interesting with it. But the chorus is hard and the rapping sections are really hard. So for me, it's objectively at least an enjoyable listen. When I go back to it, I don't know personally. Next I have Gravity with C'est La Vie. I've enjoyed this song by Gravity. I thought it was good, honestly. I like how upbeat it is. I like the production a lot, personally. And on top of liking the production, I really like the vocals. I love the melodies they went for. I find the song really, really does what it's supposed to do well. And it has different phases. There's a phase which is more pop. There's a phase which is more aggressive. There's a phase which is a little bit more relaxed. Like, their producers really understand the concept of producing and telling somewhat of a story from a melodic standpoint, from a music standpoint. inside of a song are just doing the same thing over and over again. For example, they adapt their production to the rappers, which is very uncommon. A lot of times people just slow down the beat and that's it. But to actually produce a rapping aspect section for your rapper is actually good. And of course it's very enjoyable. I think it's a chorus you don't really see anymore in K-pop, so I personally really liked it. Next we have Ua with Blush. I think this is actually a pretty good song from Ua. I really like the chorus, I like the vibe with it. The production is fun, it's super simple but it works. And like I said, since New Jeans has been really successful, K-pop groups have been pretty much actively okay, I would say, with like producing slower songs and songs that are more simple. They don't try to go over the top every single time. So the production is fine. I like their vocals a lot, and the chorus is really good. It's by far the best part of the song in my opinion. So it's a really enjoyable track for me. I'm really surprised who I could pull it off, because they don't normally make this type of song specifically as much. In fact, at all, I think. Then we have Triple ID with Hala. It's an okay track, I think, overall. Production wise is fine. Don't like the chorus as much. It's just a simple drop that you normally hear in a lot of pop music or dance pop music, so it is what it is. But the vocals are very good. Definitely the appeal of this group, obviously, it's the voice, so they put a lot of effort to showcase all three girls' voice very well, and I think they did a good job on it. So the song is overall enjoyable. It's just not my style of music. Next we have ONF with Bye Bye Monster. This is a very interesting track, I would say, from a production standpoint, the concept itself, and the way they approach the song as a whole. You know, the storytelling is good. So I really enjoy the vocals, I enjoy the chorus. I like how they presented the track, the way they go from different sections from one another. It's actually really good and different from most groups. The rappings here is fine. I think it's actually brings something different to the song when it needs it. After like a minute and a half, the chorus is good. I don't know, it reminds me a lot more of J-pop, not in a negative manner, but it's clear that the J-pop influence is very strong here, and they still deliver very clean vocals and a clean chorus that, you know, I don't remember the last time I've heard a boy group sing a chorus where the production was not overwhelming above their voices and just covering the voices. Here the production is simple, it slows down, it goes down the voices of the guys. The voices are the main character, as they should be normally, and vocally it's probably one of the better ones, if not the best single ONF has released. So really good job by the guys. I'm really impressed. Next we have Enchai with Racer. I assume it's their debut because I've never heard of this group, or anyway, this is my first listen to a group like this. So this is the opposite of ONF for me. I think the production is just too generic, and the way they approach the song itself is overly generic. And we go back to what we talked about. The chorus is not that great. The overuse of autotune, I don't particularly enjoy a track like this, because the parts with autotune are the worst parts here. The rapping is fine, but overall I would say it's a pretty forgettable track as far as I'm concerned. So it's a song that I think for me as an introduction of the group doesn't do much personally. So it's one of the worst tracks I've heard this month, definitely. I don't know about the whole year, but definitely this month. Next we have Youngin, Jessie and Camo with No Low Key. I think overall it's a very enjoyable hip-hop track as far as I'm concerned. I think hearing Jessie rap again is good. I don't remember the last time she rapped like this. She sounds confident. The flow is not great, personally, but her lyrics are cool. They're braggadocious. They're arrogant. They have personality, and she delivers them very good. Kama brings a completely different vibe. If Jessie is very aggressive, for example, she's the opposite. She's more laid back. She's more cool, and she brings a more like a completely different vibe to it, and I really enjoy it. So I think the way they fit with the song actually together is actually really fire. So the best part of the collaboration is actually them two on the same track together. I would love to hear them on maybe on an EP even together. I don't know if they will ever do it, but like a project made together would be very, very cool, and I think they would really deliver an interesting project overall. The production is simple. I mean, because of the fact that it's just pretty much two big freestyles by two different famous artists, I think it works for what it is, and it's delivered well in my opinion. So it's a very enjoyable hip-hop track as far as I'm concerned in general. Next we have Deep with Hunjia, Shy Girl. just a great song. We go back to what we talked about. The Deep really is good at this style of music, and she finds somebody that can really work with her as well artistically. The song is definitely in this case more fun. It's more lighthearted. It's like more has a summery vibe to it, and I really fuck with it. I mean, she's a very good artist. I hope she grows in popularity because she deserves it. And maybe even if 3 people see this video, they get to discover a fun artist that is different from your average, K-pop artist, in my opinion, which is important. Next we have Isekai featuring NCW with SOS. Now on paper, this feature should not work, but it's not that it works perfectly, but it works fine. Surprisingly, they fit both well on this production. Isekai's voice is beautiful, obviously, and NCW brings a completely different vibe, energy, and he's decent on it, but I think definitely she's the main character in this song, and I think he makes the song a little bit more unpredictable. I don't know if he makes it necessarily better, and I think maybe with another rapper who would be able to flow on a production like this better, who's more comfortable on production like this, it could have been a better song. But I think it's just worth listening for Isekai as far as I'm concerned. Or Isekai, whatever you say your name. Next, FTPR Cream with Savage. I think it's okay. I don't hate it at all. In fact, I think the more I listen to it, the maybe it more grow on me. I like the way he uses his voice with autotune here. This, I think, is an artist who can actually do it very good. The production is simple, but it works. I think it's an enjoyable track overall. I don't have much to say because it's a very simple trap track. Trap and R&B. Where it's more about the vibe than really about the content of it. So for a vibe, I think it's fine, but you can do with this style of music much more, in my opinion. Next, Jimin with Walking Talking. I was surprised by this, honestly, because I think she did a very good job, because making this kind of like throwback pop style fused with some pop rock, it's hard to do, and normally K-pop idols don't do a good job at it. Even Yana, which I think did okay, but she really delivered on it because she has that voice, and I think that charisma through her voice, they can deliver a song like this well enough. So overall, I thought it was a very enjoyable track by Jimin. The production is actually very good as far as I'm concerned, and I think Jimin does a great job on it. So overall, I think this is one of my favorite tracks of this month. Really, it's incredibly well done, and I'm happy Jimin is making music. She took a break with all that bullshit that happened between her and I'm forgetting the name because I'm stupid, but it's good now that they both moved on and moved on to other things in their life. Mina, I forgot. So next up, Seekers with Red Sun. Now, I don't remember if I talked about this song already. I feel like I did, but I don't remember. So I'm just gonna say, chorus is fantastic. It's one of my favorite choruses of the year. I think you should just instruct for the chorus. This is how you make a K-pop chorus different. That sounds fun and different and hard. And it's hard as fuck. And it's aggressive the way I like it. So next we have Recene with I like the jazzy aspect of the production here. For the chorus specifically, I think it's pretty good. Vocally, they seem to be a pretty stable group, I have to say. So from a vocal perspective, I think they're a very exciting group. Production wise, it's fine. I think it's enjoyable. Definitely the aspect of the track is my favorite, and the chorus is actually pretty catchy as well. I would say they're definitely more on that Purple Kiss type of lane, in my opinion, and they really make that style of music. So I think if you like Purple Kiss, for example, I think you really like a group like this. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good track, and for an introduction track for me, for a group that I didn't know before, unless this is their debut, I think it's pretty good. Next we have Spiats with Daddy's Little Girl. I think the song is okay. I don't get the title of the track of it, honestly, but the song is fine. I don't particularly love it as far as I'm concerned. I don't like the chorus a lot. It just seems like the production is overly produced just for the sake of having effects and sounds on it. I think a group like this, hearing their voices a little bit, I think would have definitely benefited with a more laid-back production, but it's an okay song. It's average. It's what you would expect from a group of these last 3 or 4 years. It doesn't stand out as much from the bunch of other stuff that I've heard the last 2 or 3 years actively and consistently. So it's just a pretty mediocre track overall, with the fact that the girls can really sing. And I hope their company understands that and starts making music that, enhances that more. So next we have Elite with Lucky Girl Syndrome. It's an okay track. I still prefer Magnetic much more. I don't know, I feel like aesthetically, it's probably bad to say, but I feel like they've only done 2 songs, but I feel like they've already done everything. I don't see how much more they can really do in this style of music. But it's not a bad produced song at all. I enjoy the production, enjoy everything. I just know that knowing K-pop groups, knowing K-pop companies, and knowing the risk they take, which is all times zero, that this is the stuff they're gonna do. The chorus is definitely catchy. It's gonna go viral on TikTok and stuff like that, but they should try to separate themselves as much as possible from New Jeans aesthetically. And I don't know if there is an interest, obviously, considering the recent success they're having, which is pretty good. It's not fantastic, but it's good enough for them to carry something meaningful inside of a company from a monetary standpoint. So will their label or anybody have the balls to say, let's try something a little bit different in this style? Because you can go a lot of different ways. You know, pop is a vast genre, you know, and you don't want to set yourself bottled in a way where you can't compete New Jeans numerically and stuff like that. Regardless of the stuff that's going on right now with Mini Jean and Adore and stuff like that, you can't really compare numerically with them. So we'll see. Let's have Rise with Impossible. We go back to what I said, what I really like about IDES, which is still evident in this track. They're always moving, doing something different, and they have no intention of doing the stuff that we've heard a million times, not only from other groups but from themselves. So now they went with this more Justin Bieber route, okay, which is fine. It's a good song. It's not my style of music, but it's a good song. But listen to all their previous singles and listen to this. Yeah, like, it's the same group, but look how many different things they've already done. And I think the fact that SM has the balls to go towards this direction, I think it's pretty cool in my opinion. You know, it gives them a very strong identity from the start, regardless of numbers and popularity and stuff like that, because they could get a song that goes viral, gets a billion views, and they become the biggest group in the country. It doesn't matter. But if you can actually make them unique, then the popularity aspect will come later. You know, it's their first year, so no reason to rush to that thing. So on that aspect, I have to give credit to SM, give credit to the guys, because they're very good performance, obviously, and they're probably versatile enough, and they don't mind doing different stuff as much. And also give credit to their producers, whoever is working with them directly, who's not afraid to do stuff differently, because it's not the most popular thing to do, and even though most fans are gonna complain and bitch as always. So it's actually a good song. Next we have Kepler with Straight Line. This might be their best release ever. Listen, I think Kepler's run is over. They're not gonna renew their contract. Hopefully we start taking breaks from these like produced show styles, like they've been doing them for every year, 2 or 3 a year. It doesn't conduce to actually these groups being successful, or even people having an innate interest towards them, because we all know what happened with Mnet and stuff like this. If then what people told me about Kepler is true, which is originally the majority of the lineup was Chinese and Japanese girls, and like 2 weeks before the end of the show, all of a sudden all the Korean girls were in the top 11. Maybe the average person doesn't care, but I can see if you're a fan of this concept and you follow the show, you're like, why am I interested as much as I should be? Also then pushing, and this is the reality, certain members up front compared to others, just because of their name or because of certain companies putting money up front. I just don't think it really makes sense anymore to do these shows as regularly, because they breed toxicity, they breed a certain element of untrust from the fandom to people like me that enjoy the music. So, you know, we've talked about it a million times, but, you know, if IOI and 101 were successes, and then from there every single other group could never reach that level of success. People keep saying IDZON, but I never think IDZON did what these other two groups did overall, you know, in terms of impact specifically. I think it's telling. Because that means the formula, not only the formula is not working, the formula now at this point is broken, and it's so difficult, I think, oh my bad, my mistake. It's difficult to recreate that level of success and the interest from people if there isn't trust. And as of now, I think there is no trust. That's why they're not renewing this group. Have these girls built a brand these last 2-3 years where they can, so apart from I always forget, Buying is her name, I think, right? Apart from her, they can go and actually build a career out of here, outside of a K-pop group that is gonna be hyped to a certain extent, maybe. I don't think so. But that's the point. There's no other options for K-pop idols to showcase who they are and make people care for them outside of making music and random streams with the manager behind you looking at everything you do. You can't go on a variety show. They don't get them to act. They don't get them to do anything radio. So now, how do I get to know the idol and care for them, specifically for these type of groups, when there's no chance for them to even express themselves? And the few shows where they go now, they're so censored, they're so scared of saying anything. It's not to be some fandoms and companies that have gotten to a certain amount of power where they can just destroy your career if you want to. There's no incentive. So Kepler unfortunately becomes the group from this type of style that he's just the most forgotten, even more than X1, because X1 actually had a lot of hype behind it. Their first song did very good. Then stuff happened and we know, but it's just sad, I would say. It's sad, but I think it showcases the state of what we always talked about, which is, unfortunately, regardless of what we want to say and want to think, it showcases what we've talked about, which is this industry is unhealthy, and it's so unhealthy where even when you have these type of groups that are supposed to make a group much more popular to compete with the biggest groups in the world, they just end up becoming a group in the middle of the pack type of thing. And it's sad, but I think more than sad, I think it just showcases what I've said, the state of the business, and how right now, unless you get super lucky, like 50/50 did, like New Jeans did, and somehow you just go viral for no reason, you have no chance to in any way compete from a musical standpoint with any other company just because of how much money they have, and they can pretty much just cuck you for the rest of your existence. But overall, it's a great song. I just wish they did that longer, actually with the so-called right members from the start. Next we have New Jeans with Bubblegum. Pretty good song by New Jeans, objectively. Nice vibes, solid production. It's interesting that after all of these like talks with Meaning J and all of a sudden they're changing their concept. I think it's very interesting in my opinion. You can clearly tell they want to go production, from a production standpoint, from everything in a different way, to distance from themselves from LA as much as possible. And it's very interesting how Adore works as far as I'm concerned. But the song is good. I think it's a vibe. It's more like of a nostalgic type of thing, like Beach Trip and stuff like that. The song is good, but I'm not overly obsessed by it. It's okay, I think. Next we have Rides with 9 Days, Super Notes and What About Impossible. Completely different vibe. Consider different aesthetic and song as a whole. I like much more Impossible, but they're doing this like kind of like Backstreet Boys type of thing, which I'm fine with it. And they're still keeping it K-pop in a way. Next we have 82 Major with Choke. I have to say, this is a great song. I mean, one of the few groups who can actually pull the hip-hop concept through and through. Vocally, they're sick. That pre-chorus is incredibly good. I mean, the rapping sections are great. The chorus is actually really good as well. One of the few groups from this newer era that can actually pull a so-called hip-hop, K-pop concept very good and do it in a way that is actually very enjoyable in my opinion and very unique in a way. So I really enjoyed it. I'm really hyped about what this group's gonna do, and I'm gonna check their stuff if they've done stuff before. If not, just check their music from now on, Next is Sokodomo featuring Lex with Spotlight. Just a dope hip-hop track as far as I'm concerned. Love the production and how it's poppy, but it's hip-hop as well. It's a fun music video, and the rapping is actually really good, especially in the first part of the song. I like how it flows. I'm pretty sure that's Sokodomo if I'm not mistaken. So overall, I really enjoyed the track from front to back, and I'd like to see Sokodomo back here. I think he disappeared for a little bit, so it's good that he's back at least. Another great song is obviously the rappers from XG with the Trampoline. Pretty good freestyle as far as I'm concerned. Different flows, personality, charisma, good lyrics. I mean, decent, I would say. They've done much better in the past, but it's a decent lyrics, I think, from them. But the personality is through the roof. They're so comfortable in productions like this, and give credit to their producer. He really understood through and through of it. And for them to be a J-pop group for them to be a Korean, a K-pop group, but like from a Japanese company, I think it's extremely interesting as far as I'm concerned. So I really fuck with it as far as I'm concerned. Next we have Boy Next Door with Earth, Wind and Fire. I know Zico produces this group, but this song sounds so much like what I would hear from it really does sound like a fucking, what is the name of the group he used to be called? Like, why am I blanking today so much? Block B. Why was I thinking it's Block B? It sounds like a Block B song through and through. And give credit to Zico, he really understood how to produce a K-pop group. No bullshit, no weird promotions. Come out, make music, stand out. You're in a huge label, so they're gonna get the eyes on, and you produce just fun songs through and through, without expecting them to be this image they're not. So fun songs through and through, catchy, that makes them stand out. Exactly what he did with Block B in the past to make them really relevant as a producer. So the song is really fun, actually. It's really one of the more fun songs I've heard probably in a long time, at least by a company like Hybe, who wants to at least give their K-pop idols an image of seriousness, even in more silly concepts, even in Illusions past a more serious group than they should be. So I really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite releases of this month, and probably my favorite of Boys Next Door. Next we have Lou Sample with Girls Night. I always think these type of groups would benefit from better producers. I really believe that, because even these girls, they can really sing, but they give them these very generic productions, and therefore I'm only interested partially to this group. Like, they're good. I think you can't say they're bad. And I think they have a personality, and you can hear it through their voices, and you can hear it and see it. But you know, this type of productions, I think, hold these groups back, because they're just too similar to what you normally hear, specifically if you only hear K-pop, in my opinion. It's crazy how many groups use this style of productions. The same 808s, the same basses, the same snares, the same hi-hats, the same, sometimes even samples. Like, it's crazy, in my opinion. So I really think a group like this would benefit from actually being under a company like SM, who wouldn't care necessarily so much and would have them doing something a little bit different and something unique, you know. But you know, you just can't do anything about it, I guess. I would say LA Psychic. It's definitely my least favorite Lay song. I just don't think his production is good, in my opinion, and his vocals are not at the level of what he did in the past. So it's definitely his worst track by far, I think he has released, in my opinion. Next we have B-Wave with Singer. It's actually a really good song. The production is really fun. I love the vibe, the way the girls are performing, and they have a lot of personality on the track. The production is simple. That piano key it's very catchy, and the song is very, very fun. It's one of the most fun songs I've heard literally all year. Next we have Unicode with Let Me Love. I mean, it's just a G-Friend similar track, and it's executed well by the girls. So overall, I think they did a decent job at doing it, and it's a fun song, but it's very G-Friend coded. Next, we have One Way with Beautiful Ashes. I think it's a decent release. Overall, it's a very enjoyable rock track by the groups, and it's definitely one of their better tracks, I would say, in the last 6 to 8 months. Next, we have Do Young with Little Light. Great vocal performance by him. He really, really killed it from a vocal perspective, but I would say you just listen to it for that, but I don't think it's a song that I would ever go back to, personally. Next, we have Kim Woo-jin with I Like the Way, sorry. It's, I think, a pretty solid comeback from Woo-jin. He disappeared for some time, came back, released a solid song. Vocally, he's always been one of the better Stray Kids members. So he does a great job on this track as well. Production, I think I wish it was a little bit more interesting, a little bit more complex. But it's really not a problem on a track like this, as far as I'm concerned. It's a good track by him, and hopefully it kickstarts a good, a regular schedule comebacks from the guy. Yuki with Freak. It's okay. I feel like they're trying to make their K-pop idols too much like your classic emo pop idols from the 2013, 2014. Like, you're going in a different direction. So vocally the song is fine, but the melodies, I think the production is just so generic that if you compare it to her previous song, I think it was called Monster, if I'm not mistaken, this is such, I think, a setback from an artistic standpoint, in my opinion. It's obviously a song meant to go viral on Instagram, TikTok, because of the chorus and everything, but this thing always wanted to be kind of like different. She's a K-pop idol. She's not different. Like, she doesn't stand out. She's not alternative. Push on that button more. It's not really a problem as far as I'm concerned. So this type of concepts in general, I never liked them, but this type of music, even if you do it now like this, it's just boring as far as I'm concerned. Next we have Bio with Bamse. I think this is the best song he has where he's singing is actually good. It's actually the better song he has released. Where he's actually mainly singing, he's doing a good job on it in my opinion. The rapping is solid as always, but the vibe is there. I think it's a solid song overall and the best one where he has sang for the most part in my opinion. He sounds much more confident, much more stable vocally. Next we have BB and Jackson Wang with Feeling Lucky. It's actually a good collab. I think they both really work well with each other, vocally specifically and performance wise. It's okay, it's not really my style of pop music I would say, but it's a good song nonetheless. Next we have IVE with Heya. Definitely change of vibe, change of style from the group. I would say this experiment didn't necessarily work, in my opinion. It's just a forgettable track. I think IVE has released much better music, so this type of songs for me, it's like they're fine, but they're gonna do the numbers, they're gonna sell well, but it's I think a very forgettable track overall. Next we have 17 with Maestro. Now I understand why everybody was hyped about it. Like, it's okay, it's not a bad song, don't get me wrong, but like, for 17 for the standard, it's not good enough in my opinion. With the very generic production and like the pre-choruses you've heard a million times. Like, 17 has always been the group that did everything differently. So to hear them, in my opinion, conform aesthetically to what's popular now saddens me a lot. So I don't particularly like this song. It's not bad, but it's very forgettable as far as I'm concerned. Next we have Dio with Popcorn. This is the most SM coded music video ever, even though it's not with SM anymore. Obviously his voice is incredible and the song overall is a vibe. Production is simple, and I think for an artist like Dio that really fits him, where he can truly showcase his vocal prowess. And I've said this a couple of times this video, but it's true. That's where I think with the artist you have to go in my opinion. And the song is very enjoyable, it's very catchy, it's something that I think fits him very very well in terms of concept. Then you have Solar with But I. Incredible song from start to finish, vocally, production wise. She's one of the few I think Korean artists who can really pull this style at perfection, and she does this on this track. So amazing track by her. It's very good, and I'm surprised her fans are not talking about it as much as they should because it's incredible. Next we have Extraordinary Troubleshooting, which is like a short movie they've done for the group. I think it's solid. I think it's one of the better ones I've seen. I would say that I always said that the BTS ones were the better ones, in my opinion. They've never done them this long, but they've done them in the past. I think very few other groups have been able to pull it off. So to see a group of their level at this point in this era do it as good as it did, it's very impressive. It's still too much idol coded, in my opinion, for a group that is supposed to be rock and alternative and different. It's too clean, it's too cookie cutter for me, but at least they're trying to do something a little bit different, which is enough I think for me to really respect them. Having said that, it's a pretty interesting short movie. Don't love the photography, like I said, it's too clean. I think it's just too fake. I wish they kept it a little bit more simple, stripped of that After Effects stuff they put on, like the effects, like remove them, let it simple. They're a rock group. But regardless of that, I think the short movie is actually solid, and they can't act particularly much, so they're not having them acting, they're just having thinking and going different places and connecting story-wise in different ways. So good job by JYP to release this stuff. I think for smaller groups specifically it's very important to make fans more close. I wish they did more often for bigger groups, but it's kind of useless realistically. So I've enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid short movie, and somebody was wanting to make a short movie this summer as well. So there's definitely certain things I would like to take on because they're also smart in terms of how you can approach shooting, in my opinion. Specifically when you're trying to make one of these like classic K-pop idol type of concepts that are very hard to pull off, but at least you can give them an idea where they want to go. Having said that, this was it for April 2024. The video came out a little bit later, but I mean, it took some time to make. There was 40 something songs, and I had a 1 week off from work, so I decided to just chill and sleep and go out with my friends and eat and not do much, honestly. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll tell you obviously what are my favorites and my least favorite tracks of this month. My favorites are obviously I Am with Lure, would say Lucas Renegade. I think it's a great song. Midas Touch by Kiss. Oh, no, actually, it's no. Tempest Bang, sorry. Gravity Celavi. Ou Blush. ONF by Monster. The Deep Hangia with Shy Girl. Also Jimin Walking Talking. Seeker's Red Sun. Rides Impossible. Kepler's Straight Line. 82 Major with Choke. I'll say Trampoline by XG. I would say B-Wave with Sing. And Dio with Popcorn, and Solar with But I. My least favorite songs are the ones that I thought the worst songs of the month are Baby Monster with Sheesh, Kiss of Life with Midas Touch. I forgot. I really like also Youngin, Jesse, and Cam with No Loki. I forgot to say it, so added on the best ones as well. I'll say Spire with Daedalus Girl. New Jeans. No, it's not one of the worst songs. No, I will not have it there. I forgot about also Earth, Wind, and Fire by Boy Next Door. Is one of my favorites. I'll say Lay Psychic is one of the worst. Or Yuki, Ive, and 17 with Maestro. So these were the worst songs of the month. Probably have a list here of the songs that I named and of the best and the worst. And yeah, these were the group. I would say my top favorite. It's probably Red Sun by Extraordinary Heroes or Choke by 82 Major. Regardless, it was definitely a better month, I would say, than the previous three. I mean, that's how I feel personally, at least about it. It was much more consistent, and overall there was much more variety, much more groups, but much more variety into that concept, where felt like March there was many more soloists, but it was almost like soloists from the same kind of genre, same kind of like spheres of like music, so it was much easier to like, yeah, enjoyable maybe, but like it was much more easier to predict what I would like and what I wouldn't. But this specific month I would say has been by far the best, and hopefully it's a good sign going forward for the year, considering that 2022 was a fantastic year for Kpop in my opinion, and 2024 has started really badly, so hopefully it get better. You'll get the video from May that I'll shoot tomorrow from the first 2 weeks of May. Really, I'll try to do 2 weeks because there's less songs and I can actually record more parts and record them and release them. It's much more easy for me, and you'll get obviously one of my favorites, at least favorite songs out of all these videos. And then you probably find more miscellaneous videos about me. I've thought for a long time to make certain views about the past, about the history of certain groups and stuff like that, but they're very hard to do, and I think it just, I don't have the time, honestly, or the will, considering they have no subs and stuff like that. It's much more easier for me to make these type of videos where they take time, but they don't take too much time, so I can actually enjoy making them and listen to new stuff. It's also a way for me to actually keep listening to stuff. So overall, I thought it was a very enjoyable month with some enjoyable tracks, and you're gonna definitely get in May the video with the best albums I've heard so far this year and the worst. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and see you with the next video, obviously, which hopefully is gonna come out next week. Goodbye.